Greetings, adventurers. This is DM Kurt, and I was thinking about the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition book, the Mystic Journeys of Theros. So, my review of the book. Okay, so Theros is a Magic the Gathering setting that Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro decided to convert into a D&D campaign setting, sort of. Now, I really don't know how much overlap there is between the Magic the Gathering fans and the Dungeons and Dragons players, and I don't know what percentage of that overlap are fans of the Theros setting from Magic the Gathering. But what some people might do is they might see this book, and it's kind of presented as the ancient Greek style setting. So you're thinking, Hermes and Zeus and the Iliad and all that stuff. Well, it's not that. That's kind of the problem. If you want to do an ancient Greek style setting, this book is not very useful. As a campaign setting, there are certain elements that I look for. I like to see a nice big full-size map, nice fold-out map. Doesn't have it, has a little one-pager. It presents the stats for some playable races. Okay, humans, that's obvious. Satyrs, minotaurs, centaurs, some lion men. I'm not really familiar of where those came into Greek mythology. I'm sure they're in there somewhere, maybe. But they were in the Magic the Gathering thing, so they got brought over. Okay, there is a kind of an interesting game mechanic where you have a piety stat. So as your character does heroic things in the name of their deity that are appropriate to that deity, if you're a follower of a god of battle and you do brave things in combat, you get points. If you're a follower of a god of healing and you do merciful things for the peasantry, points. And establish a church in your god's name, that's obviously a point. So as this piety score gets higher and higher, you'll get special abilities, minor ones, but they accumulate. And they're in some way appropriate to your deity. If you max that thing out over a long campaign, you might even get attribute bonuses that are appropriate to your deity's sort of thing. Like the battle deity, you might get a bonus on strength and constitution. If it's, say, the healer, you might get wisdom and charisma. So things that are appropriate to your deity for having served your deity faithfully. And you don't have to be a priest to do it. You could be a fighter. You could be a wizard. You could be even a rogue. So that's an interesting new game mechanic, and I like that. But then they have this big, thick section that is the pantheon for the setting, and it's not the Greek deities. It's sort of these knockoffs that I've never heard of. It's not Zeus, and it's not Hermes, and it's not Ares or Artemis or any of those. So if you're trying to do a Greek style setting, you're going to want to grab, say, an old deities and demigods from even first edition, if you want to go back that far. Or maybe you might just want to hit up your local library for free. The other thing it had going for it was some mythic monsters. You're not going to fight a Medusa. You're going to fight the Medusa, and she is going to be one tough customer. The Kraken, it's not just not just a big octopus. It is a serious mythic monster. And the mythic class monsters are pretty bad dudes. So, like, you can do a few hundred hit points worth of damage to these monstrous things. And they're a huge, high challenge rating. And then after fighting them for so long and doing so much to them as they're beating the heck out of you, at that point, their hit points reset, And then their final weakness reveals itself. Like the Kraken has a hard carapace, and if you do enough damage to it, eventually the carapace cracks, and then you can see its 3 hearts, each of which have to be destroyed separately. So, okay, cool additional mechanic. It may seem a little video gamey, but it's kind of cool, I think. Well, like I said, this is not really your Greek campaign setting you're looking for. It's not your Heroes of the Ancients you're really looking for. It's this knockoff Magic the Gathering. So what you're going to also want to do, in my opinion, if you're trying to do this Greek thing, you can go through DriveThruRPG and look for some ancient campaign setting stuff and just ignore this book altogether. Or maybe you might want to go to the player's handbook, photocopy the arms and equipment sections, and then go to your library for free. Yay for public libraries, they're awesome. And just do your own research as to what weapons are appropriate to the timeline of ancient Greece, and what sort of equipment would be applicable. And you may end up just crossing off several things. Crossbows, they're out. So what else might you want to do? Well, the map that's in that book is a map of a place called Theros. And they have various cities that never existed in the real world. What you could consider doing is getting a map of the Mediterranean region and then just kind of freehand drawing something roughly similar. Throw on some different boundary lines, and I would actually put in ancient Egypt as something to be a contender in there. Maybe model some of it on the Red Wizards of Thay, where you have these necromancers and this sort of a civilization of revering and also communing with the dead. But you're in a D&D world, so magic is involved. You end up with more chariots and short swords and bronze armor. I don't know. It's just a thought. I'm just not finding the Theros book that useful. It's more of a jumping off point to doing most of the work yourself. And I don't really think that it was a book that Wizards of the Coast needed to make. Unless it was just, hey, we already have this Magic the Gathering stuff laying around. Let's just slap it together in a binding and see if we can make a couple bucks off of it. I wouldn't have included it if I was running the company. But that's just me. Give me your opinion. Please like and subscribe, but let me know in the comments what you think of this. If Theros was a big thing for you, I'd like to know. DM Kurt, out.